Alright, there we go. Hello everyone, how's it going? Team here, and this is VXJS livestream. It's been quite a while since we've done one of those, but first there was holidays, then I was quite sick. I'm still a bit sick, so if I cough here and there, then apologies in advance. But there we go. I'm finally in a state where I can pretty much comfortably talk for more than a half minute, like a couple of minutes. So I thought we'd do another live stream, and this time around we're basically I'm planning to try out Deno, which is the new upcoming tool from Ryan Dahl, the original creator of Node.js. And this one is supposed to be sort of an evolution of Node.js that is better, faster, secure, and nicer, I guess, to use than Node, with a lot of concerns that Node has addressed, basically. Why I decided to do this now is essentially because it is nearing the version 1.0 release. There is, I believe, umbrella issue that basically, yes, there you go, the major features for version 1.0. The plan right now, if I read correctly, is to release it by the end of January, if everything goes correctly. There we go. And there's just a few to-dos left, basically, to close this off and release a Deno v1. So it's, we can basically consider the current version to be what we will get once the first stable version is released. Now, as usual, I'm going to be using the Windows for that. I have already installed it in my VSL side of Windows, so just using the curl here, nothing fancy. It is available on any platform because it's basically built in Rust, so it's very portable, very tiny. So what's the point of Deno? Well, the thing is, they've recently added a manual that actually addresses this quite nicely. So the manual is just like one super large file for now, which I imagine would get split up eventually into multiple files. But it does a very good job of explaining what is Deno. So essentially, it's a mix of V8, which is the the JavaScript engine from the Chrome team, Rust, which is the language from Mozilla, which again, it's already at this point pretty interesting mix, and then the Tokyo, which is the Rust library for asynchronous, I think it's threading, basically. I'm not sure, but yeah. So the idea is, the goals is basically to ship only one executable, which is Deno, that has all the tools that you need by default, including formatting, including testing, including compiling, whatever the hell you can imagine, basically. And then it provides the secure defaults, which means that you, unless specifically allowed, as it says here, scripts that you run cannot access file system, cannot access environment, cannot access network, and they are basically heavily sandboxed, the same as what you get in a browser, right? Which is a very interesting approach to the issues with the whole Node ecosystem and the attacks that we had on it, right? Hey, some hobbits, welcome to the stream. Yes, it is a new studio. I moved here a month ago, I guess, and it doesn't really need soundproofing, so the sound is good enough like this, so this is why I am without it. I'm still pondering if I should put it back anyway, because, kind of makes it look a bit nicer, but anyway. Okay, going back to Deno, another of goals is browser compatibility. So the idea is that as long as you don't use Deno-specific namespaces, all the browser modules should work as is without any changes, because the browsers also use the ES modules and stuff like this. And then you got the built-in tooling for unit testing, linting, code formatting, and everything else, basically. And also TypeScript support. And yeah, so the core differences between Deno and Node, that it doesn't use NPM, so the modules just are imported using the URLs, which I think is actually a really cool idea and makes the module management 100 times easier, right? Because all I have to do to import a module is literally just import a remote file that is then going to be fetched by Deno, cached, and served from whenever you want to use it, right? Obviously, the versioning is a bit of a problem, but then again, if you version the APIs, you already dealt with this, so you know how to do that. Again, there's no package.json because you don't really need it, because modules are fetched from the URLs. All async actions in Deno return a promise, so this was one of the things that Ryan Dahl said during his, I think, initial presentation, that he regretted not relying on promises more in Node.js, and this is why we have callbacks everywhere, while promises are a lot nicer to work with. And then, yes, okay, we already talked about explicit permissions. And then there's the Deno always dies on caught errors, which I think is the case with Node.js mostly as of the latest versions at least. And yeah, so we got the ES modules. Require is not supported, but there is basically discussions, at least I've seen them in the GitHub repo, on providing sort of the compat layer between the Node.js and Deno so that you can actually require the Node modules for now. Because, obviously this is two completely non-compatible environments, so you cannot really require and use Node modules within Deno, right? So they are completely different. Hey, Matrix, welcome to the stream. Okay, so this is kind of core idea behind the Deno, right? So we got the set of built-in commands. I am very interested to check out how the testing, linting, bundling, and formatting works. I mean, the formatting, I think they just throw in the prettier basically, and that's it. I'm curious about the bundling because essentially, from what I understood, it gives you a way to create a single standalone executable that you can just ship somewhere, right? Or maybe was it compile? I remember reading a bit more like this is what they have right now, but there is plans for more basically. But anyway, what we're gonna try to do here today is build a very simple server with Deno and see how exactly it works, right? So as I already said, I have installed Deno in my VSL. So we got Deno version 0.3.0, which is currently the latest one. So it uses TypeScript and 3.7 and V8 version 8.1, which I honestly not sure what is included in it because the latest stable version of V8 is 8.0 and 8.1 is basically the edge one, what we currently have in the master branch of the repository. So I have no idea what the additions are there. I guess maybe they've unflagged the optional chaining and nullish coalescings, but we're going to find out. All right. Yeah, so as you can see, most of the things that Deno has are actually built in TypeScript. It also works with JavaScript, so we're going to try both. Let's just go ahead and create the main.js file for now and just do the console log hello world just to see how exactly it works. And then just run Deno main.js. There we go. Okay, so this works as expected. I guess if we rename it into TS, it should work equally good, right? Okay, so it does have now the compilation steps and actually explicitly says that, okay, hey, we're now compiling the TypeScript file. But it's really nice that it works out of the box. So this is definitely an advantage in my book. I mean, as you might know, I'm not a huge fan of TypeScript myself, but I guess maybe what's always stopped me from using it was the fact that, you have to set up the compilation and it's always a pain in the ass to set it up with Babel and there's like a bunch of other problems. And if it works out of the box, maybe I would even switch to it. How's your experience with VSL? In my case, Git was working extremely slow and sometimes auto-opening the browser. I mean, I'm not using a lot of tools that auto-open the browser or anything like that, but it works perfectly fine. So like this is pretty much stable working environment that I use on, well, almost on a daily basis, right? So I have like I have my working laptop, which is a MacBook, and I have this computer, which I use at home, and I've been coding in VSL for about a year now. And yeah, there are some, problems and minor issues, but nothing too major. The performance can be usually solved by opening a defender and turning off the real-time protection. Because this is like one thing that is a bit annoying is that because the VSL stores files on the Windows side, the Defender will scan all of them. And if you work with Node.js, if you install Node modules, it's going to take ages to scan all of that. So yeah, that speeds up things significantly. Same with Git actually. Other than that, I don't know, works perfectly fine. I'm really looking forward to VSL 2, but we're going to see how that goes. But anyway, going back to Deno. So we got this console log thing. Let us see how do we actually... okay, so this is the file example. Yeah, so note that by default, you basically can't read files. So you know what, let's just try and do that. I'm going to paste this here. So there is, if I understand correctly, top level await support already now. So while it complains that, hey, you can actually use await at the top level, you can. And instead of going for 4 and using the file that we get from the input, I'm just gonna go and use test.json. Let's just do it this way, and I'm gonna create a test.json file over here, and we're just gonna be hello. Yes, this probably should be like this, right? Worlds. There we go. I'm just gonna save that. Right, so if we open that and we copy it to std_out, I assume that should work. All right, so if we go Deno main ts, so this should fail. It will tell us, okay, permission denied. So as you can see, you cannot actually run Deno or any scripts in Deno that try to read the files without explicit permissions, which is, why am I always typing done? Okay, I have to learn how to type Deno now. Okay, so here we go. Allow read. Whoops, that is too much. And then we go main ts, and there we go. So it actually reads the file, it prints us the stuff. It's a very nice security feature. I'm wondering if there would be a way to compile it to an app that explicitly has those permissions granted. I assume it is. Wait a second. So what kind of flags do we have? We have bundle. This is, so I assume this is basically going to bundle the scripts, compile, bundle, and everything else. We have completions, we have eval, we have fetch the, okay, so you can explicitly say just fetch the dependencies for me. We got the FMT, let's try it, FMT main ts, there we go. Okay, so once you run the FMT, it literally fetches the pre-tier, I guess. Yep, that was pre-tier with a bunch of dependencies. And it formatted the file. I mean, obviously, you know, nothing changed that much, but it's kind of nice. What else do we have here? We got info about cache-related source. We got install. Okay, so yeah, so install is one of the also cool features, is basically the difference between, you know, Node having npm to install global executables and Deno having install command directly in the Deno itself to install global executables, or I guess, you know, they're not necessarily global. You can install it locally as well. We got the REPL run, so this is Deno run is the default basically alias for Deno. Then we got tests. We gotta figure out how to run tests as well. So install, I remember seeing it somewhere in the, what do you call it? Somewhere in here, I think. File permissions. Where was the install thing? 10. There we go. Installing the executables. Yeah, so basically the idea is that you can run Deno install. Then you can give a file name, and then you can give a script name and permissions, which will install this as local executable wherever your Deno path is, that you can then just simply invoke, right? So let us, so there was a server thing somewhere around here. I skipped around with it, but let's try building a server, right? So let's start with a very basic server that just accepts the connection. There we go. So we got our server over here. We're going to start with that. Right. So let's see what we have here. So we got listener. So this is basically Deno listen. This says, okay, we're going to listen on port 8080. I also assume that if we look, oh, nice. Okay. So you get full on docs right away. So we can give it a host name, which defaults to 000, which is nice. And you can also get a way to give it a transport, which means we can also listen for UDP packages or Unix sockets, which is kind of neat. Okay, cool. So you can listen, and then we consume the listener by using asynchronous iteration. So we are for await connection of listener, and then just basically, okay, in this case, we copy the connection back to itself. So whatever we send to it is going to be sent back, which is, I mean, I guess we could try that, but that feels completely useless, right? So just as a demo, basically, right? So I guess this is gonna fail, right? So we need to allow network. There we go. Yes, allow Deno to work, please. Come on. There we go. Okay, and I guess if we open localhost 8080, yeah, it's not gonna send us anything because we are not sending anything in there. Okay, let's try something a bit more fun, and let's try actually using one of the packages they have. So they have two modules, catalogs, I guess, categories. The first one is standard modules that Deno comes with. Theoretically, it actually doesn't come with them. This is also a very interesting idea. So that's, you know, the STD standard lib of your executables actually lives on the web as well, so you can actually pull it. Right, here's how they solve the versioning. Again, this is, the REST API and versioning all comes down here. And we can use, there's like prettier logging colors. I assume there's like coloring. Code resets. Okay, background. Yeah, okay. So you literally can like have a default module for coloring the console logging, I guess, with pretty basic escape sequences. Okay, so this is the default ones. It seems fine. Like the FS is probably what you would mostly use. Mtdir sync, ensure file, ensure symlink. Yeah, okay, so this is like a typical working with files. We can actually, you know what, we can actually just, start with, let's start with this. So let's say we are gonna read our JSON file, and we are going to, there we go, we're gonna read our data file. Let's call it this, is gonna be, let's rename that to data.json. We're going to reply with a data JSON to whoever basically asks us, right? So, which means that we need some sort of a server. This is where the third-party modules come in. So this is essentially NPM analog for Deno, right? So we got our module registry where you can publish. I'm not actually sure how do you publish here. So let's see. To add to this list, edit database JSON. Okay, so you literally just send a pull request, which, I mean, is, I guess it works in the beginning, but that sounds like a pretty annoying way of publishing packages. Maybe I'm wrong here, but on the other hand, you don't actually have to submit them there, because so long as it's available as a URL, you're going to be perfectly fine, right? So let's see, HTTP. So we got Kai, which is a tiny, elegant HTTP client. Might be useful. Let's just open it for now. We got, okay, millisecond formatting. We got Oak, the framework for Deno middleware. Okay, so let's see that. We got Promise. Okay, this is clients. I think that's it. Okay, so they only have two, like one client. Okay, couple of client libraries and one framework for middlewares. So let's see this Oak thing. And I guess, I mean, yeah, I think this basically just is the data from the repo, Oak server. Yeah, sure, okay. All right, this seems very Express-like, so let's just grab that. And I assume this is going to be as easy to use as you might imagine. So we no longer need that, right? We don't really need, well, okay, in this case, if I leave it as is, then it basically should, let me see. So if I do that, it's going to fail right now, if I understand correctly. So it's basically going to say that we don't have permissions to read the file. Meanwhile, let me have a look at the chat. Why the blue underline of the word Deno and why the red one on await? So the red one on await because the top level of await is not yet supported by default in most environments, but Deno does support it. The blue underline under Deno, where do you see that? Blue underline of the word Deno. Oh, I guess that probably was my, what do you call it? Like the thing that basically proofreads the words and tells you if you have any typos, so it probably doesn't know the word Deno, so it's nothing to worry about. Okay, yeah, there we go. So we need allow read flag, right? And now it should actually grab everything from cache. Okay, it won't actually show anything because we are not... was it 8080? No, it wasn't 8080. Was it 8000? Okay, so actually the first port was correct. We should probably console log something. There we go, it actually works. Hey, let me just zoom in for a bit. That is probably too large. Okay. Right, so we did that. We listen on this. I guess we could just swap it to 0, and then we could just say console log started on 000,800, right? So save that. If we restart this, theoretically, okay, so it recompiles the file. It's kind of nice that it shows you everything that it does, and as long as the cache doesn't change, it basically. Oh, okay, I guess it does. It won't log once the server starts. Interesting. So I guess it just freezes here and handles the requests. All right. Okay, let's see how do we actually handle the requests with the Oak. So we got, okay, use is basically your middleware. You got the context and you got the next. How do you handle the routing? Do you have router? Yes, you have router. There we go. Okay, so we actually need to import router from Oak. All right, there we go. Yeah, okay, it auto deletes it. God damn it. Okay. Blah 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 router. Okay, and then we got create a new router, and then we say that. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna copy all of that for now, and we're gonna edit it real quick. Okay, to the DOM, so we don't need application anymore. I am gonna use the data JSON over here, right? And context. Okay, so this is going to be hello worlds. Yeah, that seems relatively straightforward. Books values. So I guess we can just say data here. And we can kill that because we don't need it. Let's do it this way. Okay, create an app, router routes, router allowed methods. We don't need that. And then await listen. So I think that should basically do it, right? It is a bit annoying that it underlines the await with reds, but I guess there's probably some way to enable the top level await everywhere. Okay, so we got this, and if we go to data, that should be a JSON. That seems to work perfectly fine. Cool. Okay, that was a lot easier than I expected. This is basically like, yeah, it's very close to Express and what you would expect from that. You even have stuff for serving the static content. So you get this specific send method that you can just call on a static content. Neat. Okay. That was a lot faster and easier than I expected. What else do we have here? We have that Kai, which is the HTTP client. That looks perfectly fine. I wonder if it has... So, I mean, the thing is that since the Deno says it's going to be compatible with browsers, right? It means that it should have fetch as well. So let's give it a shot, shall we? So we get fetch, right? So let's just go this, and we get context, and I'm gonna say that this is a sync, and I'm gonna say context response body. I'm not a fan of that. I would prefer having the API similar to Fastify, for example, because I think they handle the whole like framework a lot nicer than Express or Koa or whatever. But you know, we're probably gonna get there at some point. Okay, let me think. First of all, I'm kind of curious if the async method will work. Probably should, right? Because it theoretically doesn't. It shouldn't matter, at least for the Deno, if it's sync or async. Yeah, there we go. That works perfectly fine. So let's see. There was Pokemon API or something like this, right? Poke API. There we go. So we are just gonna grab this, and let me think. I want to go here, and then we're gonna say result is gonna be await fetch. That is a bit too much line breaks, and we are gonna get type ability Pokemon. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's just grab this and send it back, because why not? Then we're gonna say then res JSON, because we're gonna get it JSON, and we're gonna say just send the res back, right? So theoretically, I need to restart that. I wonder if there's like watch flag or something in a way that, you know, you don't have to actually manually restart. That works. It has fetch by default. Okay, that's pretty great actually. All right. Yeah, here's the question. Does it have Deno run help? Is there reload? Reload the source code cache. That is not what we want. There is no remote, do not... Okay, so there's some really nice config flags here. Okay, allow all, allow blah, 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 write, read, cached only, config, current thread, help, import map, log, log level, no remote, reloads. Reload everything, reload specific modules, seed. So I guess there is no way for right now to sort of hot reload or anything like that. I wonder if they have the plans. An interesting question. Let me see. So if we go to the Deno, let us see if they have a plans for hot reload or anything like that. Hot reload. Major features for 1.0. Okay. It is mentioned in here, hot reloading. There will be hot reloading. Restarting would lose all states. Okay. 1 kill. Okay, not needed. Right. Okay, so they basically have the hot reloading planned, but it's not landed in the Deno itself yet, which is makes sense. I mean, you know, V1 doesn't really need to have it. It's a nice feature, but it's perfectly fine without having that. Okay, again, since we're compatible with browser, I should be able to just say this, right? And if I restart this server, that is not what I want to press. There we go. We should get a nicely formatted JSON now. There we go. I mean, it's actually pretty snappy. I'm surprised. Here's the question. I'm very interested in what I want to do. I want to open Task Manager and I want to see the footprint. 30 megs. And that is including the JSON that it basically fetched and held in memory, right? So that is very slick. Okay, here's... let's try compiling. Let's try compiling. I'm very curious about that. So Deno, I actually want the whole thing, right? So I want to say compile. Cannot resolve module. No, wait, what was it? Deno bundle? What was the command? Deno bundle, right? Deno, right? So we need compile, but we replace compile with bundle. Okay, the other way around, I guess. Deno bundle. Main TS. Oh, okay, I guess. Wait a second. I remember oh, it was Deno install, right? I'm an idiot. Okay. So we bundle that. Whoa, okay. I guess we need let's call it server TS. So I guess by default it just writes to std out, which again makes sense, but okay, so we basically, once you bundle, you get the complete one file that you can just execute and won't pull anything out of the remote dependencies, which is pretty damn convenient. So let's have a look at it. Right, so essentially Webpack integrated right into Deno itself, which is quite nice. It does not minify anything, but you know, in case of Deno, Node.js, and server side, it's not really important. Right, that's kind of neat. Okay, so what can we do? We should be able to basically say this, right? Where's my run commands and server TS. Okay, so it still compiles it because it is in TypeScript. And what is happening here? Reserved words. Why are you complaining about await? So now it complains about top level await. Interesting. So this is our read JSON, right? So there we go. And why are you complaining? I mean, I guess we could move that reading over here. Right. Okay. Let's see. Is that a bug, or am I just missing something? Okay. Yep. Okay. So it's this is slightly amusing. So basically, if you start the main file, right, it works perfectly fine. So we got our server, it works okay, and we can interrupt it. But as soon as you bundle it, the top level await stops working for some reason. So we go server TS, it goes, hey, there's a reserved word, you are not allowed to do top level await. Interesting. You can run it as... Can you? No, it doesn't have the X flag on it, right? Server TS. So that is, I mean, it's not an executable, and it also shouldn't have it doesn't have the header to be an executable. We will install it once we figure this out. So essentially what I can do is I can just do that, right? And just say console log listening on 8080. So this should start listening, and we should be theoretically fine. Okay, let's try that. So if I start that, it does not do that. Okay, I did save it, right? We do not get the logging, but the server does work perfectly fine. Interesting. How the... Oh, because the promise never finishes, so we actually don't need that. So theoretically, that should work just as good, right? Yep, there we go. Okay, cool. So now if I compile or bundle that, let's call it correctly, no longer should throw errors on the top level await, which again, it's a bit weird that it does, but okay. And then we go server TS. Okay, cool. So now it works. All right. And here's the question. I want, did it bundle the file that it read from the file system? So to fetch data, was it, right? Yeah, okay, so this is our data, and if I rename the data JSON, it will actually crash. Yeah, okay, cool. So it doesn't bundle the file from the file system, which, you know, makes perfect sense. But I just wanted to make sure. Okay. All right, so now we got this server TS, which means we can do Deno install, and what was the signature for it? Deno install exe name, let's call it test server, and then command is Deno install server. So then we go, I guess I should be able to say server TS, right? So I should be able to link the local server. And then we go allow net and allow reads. Although this will crash because the data file will not be there. But anyway, let's try that. Okay, so the installer is also a third-party component that's going to be pulled on demand. This is really cool. So that means that if you are not using any of those features, they will never even make it to your machine, which is pretty cool. I think I already have it in my path, so theoretically we should be able to just do this. No, I don't. Okay, let me see. So what I need this, and I need to edit my okay, right, so it's a different one. Okay, so it's not the same as the Deno install path. Okay, that's fine. Yes, let's save it, source it, and now we should be able, what are you complaining about for safety? Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna fix that later. Test server, and it actually works. Okay, cool, and it will pick up, so it will work in the current folder. So whenever you run it, there should be this data file. This is kind of neat. This is, I mean, I am surprised at how great this works. We can actually remove the server, so that should still work, right? No, it doesn't. Okay, so it basically links the folder. Okay, let me bundle this. So it links the, wherever you put the file, it links it to the binary. Interesting. The size of the test server is 600 kilobytes, as you can see here, which, I mean, it's, you know, it's decent size, but it's not too terrible considering we're talking server side. Which, again, you know, what is the, I wonder, what is the size of a Deno actually? So if we go to local bin, and that is 56 megabytes. You just get one file, which is really damn impressive, to be honest. Okay, cool. So let me see BXJS. Where is the Deno? Okay, remove the server. Now, one thing is that essentially, since you don't have package.json or anything like that, or npm scripts, you do need to create something like a makefile, right? Where you would have your commands, which would mean for run we would have Deno, we would have this main TS, right? Which, I mean, I guess is not a big issue, and normally you wouldn't, I mean, I guess you would need something like this anyway, right? So let's do builds. It's going to be Deno bundle main TS server TS. Copy that just so that it's basically in the repo, in the final repo, and there is some way to reproduce that. Let's call it install, and it's going to be Deno install. Okay, you know what? Let's inspect what it actually installs. I am kind of curious. Okay, yeah, that looks fine. I just do another line break here. There we go. Okay, so that's still, it still complains about something. What do you complain? Import path cannot end with .ts extension. Interesting, but I imagine this is not gonna fly, right? So this is probably gonna break if I do that. Cannot find. Yeah, okay. So I guess you have to have a specific tweaks for TypeScript for it to act the same way that the Deno does. Interesting. Okay, anyway, so let's see. I wanted to inspect test server. How does it actually look? Okay, let's cat Deno bin test server. So, okay, so this is simple shell script that says that the base tier is wherever we are, and then if it's so it has some additional stuff for Cygwin, which is nice, and then it literally just runs Deno with the flags you pass to it and the URL for the file. Now, that's another cool thing about the Deno is that you can run remote files, right? So if you have an example somewhere, yeah, so you can literally just do that, right? So we got the Deno example. Come on, Chip, what? Just copy this, please. There we go. No. All right, fine. So you can literally just say, hey, Deno, run an example file for me, or remote file, or remote CLI. Just like, I can imagine this is going to work extremely well in the corporate environments where you have like, have to have isolated environments and you're only allowed to have like one binary that doesn't need admin permissions. This seems to be extremely well thought through, basically. Yeah, it's definitely great. Okay, let me just, I guess... Yeah, okay, so this is fine. I guess I'm gonna do echo server.ts into git ignore, git add this, initial version. Okay, sign the commit. Right, I'm gonna create a repo and push it to the GitHub. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat right now. If not, then, well, even though it's not version 1.0 and there's probably going to be some minor breaking changes, at least according to the umbrella issue for the version 1.0 release, Deno actually looks damn great. Like, I remember reading that they are planning to have the compile command. I'm pressed on the wrong thing. I remember reading that or was it in one of the presentations from Ryan Dahl, that they want to have the Deno compile command that would essentially build one standalone binary that includes the Deno itself plus your code, which sounds really damn cool. And this is pretty damn exciting. I'm like, after trying this out, I'm really hyped about Deno, and I can see a lot of use cases where it already would be a lot nicer than Node.js to be to be used, essentially. He said that in JSConf EU. Okay, that's probably the talk. This was the last one he had, right? Last year, I think, like December or November or something. Yeah, it's probably it. But yeah, this is pretty damn awesome. Okay, so let's see what I have. What do I call it? Deno simple server. Let's go Deno simple server. Simple HTTP server built with Deno. Okay, we need a README file, but that's fine. I can just shamelessly grab it off the other repo as usual. Let's see, exploring Strappy. We can just take it from here because why not? Raw. Copy all of that. No, not folder. README MD. No, not ND. That is not a thing. Okay. Simple HTTP server with Deno. So I'm creating a simple HTTP server with Deno. There we go. For trying Deno, I will need to put out the video link here. Project description, small demo showing how to create a simple HTTP server with Deno. Oh wait. Related links. So we're gonna put Deno here, and this is gonna be Deno lens. Right. I think everything else is fine. As MIT license. Thank you very much. I think we're basically done here. So add readme. There we go. Okay, cool. Now I just need to push it to the GitHub and we are basically done. So if you guys have any more questions, suggestions, you want to try something else with Deno, you have some crazy ideas, throw them into the chat right now. If not, then that's basically it. I guess we can just wrap it up here for today. I also feel like I need to drink some more cough medicine because my throat is starting to be like, bleh. This year's flu is just annoying as hell. Looking forward to be production ready. Absolutely. I mean, I've read that actually there's quite a few people who are already using it in production for like months, basically, at least internally, which sounds crazy, but it actually seems pretty stable. I mean, the Deno itself is essentially just a tiny wrapper around the V8 with some Rust on top, right? Which, I mean, Rusty V8, I believe, has been around for some time. Or maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else. Is Rusty V8... Is that the Deno thing? Okay, so Rusty V8 is the... Oh, okay, right. I'm definitely confusing it with something. I guess this is exactly the bindings that the Ryan created for the V8 when he switched from using Golang into Rust. Interesting. Looking forward to see how the development ecosystem will evolve. Yeah, so the one thing that I see that definitely is going to be a problem for Deno is the difference between, you know, there's this npm has how many packages now? Like, is there a statistic somewhere? Status, npm number of packages. No, that's definitely not true. That's definitely not true. It's probably more than 1 billion now already, right? Come on. Okay, I'm not sure if that's gonna work. Okay, it does work. Okay, 1.2 billion packages. Or is it million? What is this? CPAN npm. Where is npm? npm. Can I just please get npm without everything else and just give me a bloody number? Where is it? npm, that is 1.2 million packages. That's a lot, right? And yeah, so the problem is that Deno will have to provide some sort of a way to get compat with those packages because people just won't rewrite them from Node.js to Deno just because Deno is here, right? And like, I mean, Node.js is going to be around for a while and it's still a viable platform to work on. But like, there's two things. First of all, you can use node packages within Deno using something like JSPM, right? So we got the JSPM thing, and they have the ES modules CDN, which means that if the if npm module is ES module and is browser compatible, you can literally just import it in Deno using the dev JSPM IO and then /module name and just use it there. Now, the problem is a lot of Node modules rely on Node's stuff, right? Like FS, like, I don't know, workers, whatever you can imagine, is in Node API. And those obviously won't work even if converted to ES modules. They will fail because you cannot pull FS from Node into Deno, right? Because they work differently. Now, the cool thing is that I already seen the compat module somewhere. I think, wait a second. I think it was in the Deno land, actually. There was, no, I'm pressing the wrong thing again. Where was the standards? And I think it was over here. Come on. There was, no, there we go. So there's already a STD node, which is basically aiming to have a compatibility layer for Node.js STD lib, which means once this is finished, you would actually can basically just load the node modules and use them as is. And obviously, you know, it's still lacking a lot. Like, yeah, there's maybe 1/5, 1/6 of all the modules is implemented, but you know, it's getting there. It'll be very interesting to see if they actually finish that or if they drop it for whatever reason. The interesting thing is that you can actually do the CommonJS module loading right now from the local files using the create require approach, the same way that it works in the ES modules and Node.js. The problem, of course, is that it won't actually work unless there are other modules that are actually implemented within the Deno itself. But anyway, it's a pretty exciting project. Really cool to see how far it came from the beginning. It's been quite fun to play around with it, so it's definitely nice to see that. A lot easier than I expected. TypeScript, I mean, okay, there was a few problems, especially with building and the fact that it does support top-level awaits if you do it when you just run, and then it doesn't when you bundle it, which is a bit, I mean, it sounds like a bug, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. All right, doesn't seem like there's any more questions or suggestions, so thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you found out something interesting about Deno. Maybe you even decided to try it out for yourself. I absolutely encourage you to do so. It seems like a very nice tool. As usual, if you missed the stream, the VOD will be available on Twitch immediately or on YouTube in a couple of hours. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to join our Discord chat and throw them in there. We'll be more than happy to hear them. And, if you just want to talk about Deno, again, more than happy to do so in our Discords. Yeah, that's basically it from my side. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I see you next time. Bye.